So here's my proposal. When we dream at night, despite the fact that our dreams are completely detached from our everyday reality, I mean, sometimes I can fly in my dreams. It doesn't make sense, right? Yet, while we're in it, we're 100% convinced that it's real, up until we wake up. What if I told you that your everyday reality is also a dream and you can wake up from it, and I can prove it to you? To show you what I mean when I say we dream our reality, let's go back to the beginnings. When you were a young child, you interacted with the world with an open mind, ready to learn. You cried when it was painful and laughed when it surprised you. But interestingly, depression, anxiety and sadness was not on the menu. Emotions passed through you like a cloud in the sky. Seconds apart, you laughed and cried. The question is, if a young child is the embodiment of happiness, fulfillment, then what goes wrong in our life that makes us miserable grown-ups? Is this unavoidable? At the early stages of your life, when you're super young, you start to label objects, and then slowly but surely they turn into complex concepts. Depending on your innate intelligence, these concepts become more and more refined, with new information added to them daily while old ideas dropped. This process creates an interconnected web of theories. Most of these theories come from other people. These are commonly shared ideas, but in the same time, every human being has their very own theory of everything. Now, our so-called reality is nothing more than our shared ideas that we can all understand, therefore agree to some extent. But the thing is, these concepts are only able to exist in our minds in form of thoughts. Of course, ideas can be written down, speech can be recorded, but without the shared knowledge of these concepts, written words would be completely meaningless. It's clear that our concepts of the real world is not the real world, just like a map is not the territory. For example, believing to know what a tree is not actually knowing what it is. I mean, this magically turns into that, and while creating oxygen for me to live in the process, what? I can talk about trees all day long, but it still wouldn't come close to describe its reality. Just a quick food for thought here. If this whole existence as we know it is inside the simulation, and a lot of smart people seem to believe that is the case, then how fundamentally wrong we all are in all of our concepts. That would mean that all our human achievements are nothing more than a game of life well played. We are like a child who masters a video game. Expect we can't really claim that it's well played, looking at human history. But let's put all our flaws aside and get back to our dreamed reality. Now here's how trouble starts. As you become really good at thinking, you can do this all day long, non-stop. It becomes the biggest influencing force in your experience. Thoughts have this other, rarely discussed role in our lives. They function as emotional filters, just like colored glasses. When your core, childlike being looks through these filters, it stops directly experiencing the real world and enters a dreamlike trance state. For example, you believe a rainy day is miserable, and you will experience misery. You feel it in your bones. In other words, most of your experiences are reflections of your beliefs. I mean, how can people experience sadness now because of an event that happened 2 years ago? If that's not dreaming, then I don't know what is. We get sad over past events and anxious over future events. That's only possible because we are dreaming our realities. Cats don't do that, dogs don't do that. I mean, just think about it. There is only ever the present moment, yet our stories place us on a timeline from the day we were born and projects us into the future until the day we die. And if the story of our life is somewhat good compared to other people's, we are happy enough. And if it's a sad story, we are depressed. What makes our suffering possible is that we forget that this is nothing more than a story, and it's not really real. Remember, reality is only here and now, and this is undescribable. The second mistake we make is that we identify with these stories, or I should say, with the voice in our heads. This constant identification sets the feeling tone of our existence. As we talked about earlier, our thoughts function like filters that modify our reality, and they are flavored with emotions. To make things worse, we are full of biases that makes us focus on the bad stuff 10 times as much as the good things in life. If this is an accurate theory of the human condition, then we are seemingly doomed to live an ever worsening life. Well, I have a good news for you. No, we're not doomed. There are simple ways to break this cycle. We can rip off these filters and live a good life. In future videos, I will dive into practices that will do just that. My friend, let's go on this journey together.